In this clip, we'll set up CI/CD within VSTS and then confirm the setup by introducing a change you might like. You may not have noticed this, but in the locally deployed version of the docs, the Edit on GitHub link has changed to View Page Source. This is functional and a little handy, but nowhere near as useful as being able to directly contribute by containing a link to the doc in the source repository. We'll introduce a little workaround for this as our change to be deployed through CI/CD. But first, let's go set up the CI/CD. We'll pop back to VSTS and look at our build definition. To do so, I'll click on the ellipsis in the build definition row and choose Edit. Then I'll go to the Triggers tab and enable the CI trigger. Everything else is fine, so I'll save the updated build definition. Now for the continuous delivery part. We'll hit the Releases tab. I'll click the ellipsis next to Code with Kids Release and choose to edit that. The lightning bolt is what I'm after here. When I click that, I have the option to enable the CD trigger, which I'll do. I'll specify the master branch is what I want to be looking for here, and then I'll save the change. Before I go back to VS Code and make the change though, I wanted to point out that I'll be doing a direct push to master here. If you wanted to impose branch protection and require pull requests, you can go back to the Code tab and choose Branches. From there, you can click the ellipsis on the branch row, and the branch policies item is probably what you're looking for. Many of these options should look similar to what we saw regarding branch protection when we applied that to our GitHub repo. For now, just know where this is, and now we'll go back and hop into VS Code and make our change. The change to enable a link to the Git repository is to use the GitHub URL directive that's described in the documentation and the Read the Docs theme repository on GitHub. There's also a GitLab URL directive and a Bitbucket URL. None of those are VSTS URL, but I'll just hijack the GitHub one. When I specify the URL for this page, which I grabbed from VSTS, note the index.rst portion of the path. This is a page level setting that should be done on each page. If you add a line like this to each of your pages, you'll achieve the same functionality. I'll confine the change to just this one page and save the file. Then I'll commit the change. I'm in the master branch right now, and I can push this commit to the VSTS remote repo. Back in VSTS, we should be able to check our CI/CD configuration at this point. I'll refresh the page, and I see a suspicious-looking Not Started note in the status column. I'm not sure if you noticed earlier, but somehow in my earlier exploration I had inadvertently clicked Pause for this build definition in the ellipsis menu. I'll just click Resume to unpause the definition, and that fires everything off. We go over to the Build Details page, and almost immediately it's succeeded. So now I'll head over to the Releases tab and navigate into the new release which has just been created. And I see that it's in progress, which shouldn't be a surprise. It succeeds a few seconds later, so I'll just pop back to the tab with my locally hosted docs and refresh the page. Sure enough, the link has been changed to Edit on GitHub, and when I click the link, I'm indeed taken to the VSTS page for the index.rst file. Sweet! If you're looking for a challenge, and VSTS or TFS source hosting is where you hope to end up, you could use the CSS technique we used earlier in the course for JavaScript, and maybe change the text of the link to be Edit on VSTS, or something like that. It didn't bother me enough to want to change it, and I liked the behavior, so I kept it. Mission accomplished. Functional CI/CD set up with VSTS and on-prem doc hosting. Let's go finish things up.